Thanks for coming on. I'm so excited to talk to you. And I just saw, I just caught a few minutes of the live. You were just eating your raw wrap. That looked amazing.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta get food in before the next live.
Yeah.
So like, might as well just go live and eat live.
I know it's been like back-to-back lives all week. It's been a busy week, but it's been fun.
Oh yeah, I love bundle time so much, and I hope everybody else who's watching does too. I get so many messages. People are like, I love all the lives you're doing. I'm learning so much. And they get the bundle, which by the way, as you mentioned, less than 10 hours left to get it. Link is in either of our bios. Go get it. But I just love bundle week because I love connecting. I love meeting new people like you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so cool. I just love bundle time.
I know. Oh, it's so exciting. It's been awesome to, connect with so many amazing people in the bundle and just people that you'd never come across, otherwise, and just from all over parts of the world, and just hearing, their healing journeys. I'm always fascinated of like hearing how people came to this lifestyle and like what they went through and what they overcame through, changing their diet and all that. And I know today we're going to talk a lot about like gut health, which is like a topic that I love and I'm just could talk forever about. First, I just want to say, like, anyone that's listening, like she mentioned, the bundle ends tonight. And Lissa, you and Nate have what, like 8 products in there total?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So just the $49 itself, like that, all of just your products are worth way more than just the $49. Mm-hmm. So definitely check out the bundle. But yeah, maybe if we can start with like just maybe talking it from your perspective, like why just in general, why gut health and focusing on, addressing your gut health first is like essential for healing like any part of the body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So totally. I know this topic is like next to food freedom and mindset shifting and habit building. This is like my absolute favorite topic. I'm like such a gut nerd. So yeah, like 3 years ago ish, I read Dr. Will Bolshewick's book, Fiber Fueled. And being a raw vegan, so now I've been raw now close to 10 years. It's like 9.5. And, like, because I don't eat grains, and the only beans I eat are sprouted ones. Mm-hmm. I actually just recently got into sprouting chickpeas, freezing them, and then thawing them. Oh my gosh, it's like next level.
Yeah, I'll have to try that.
Oh, they're so good. I actually, side note, I went on Amazon and I bought like 24 little half-cup size containers so I can sprout like 3 pounds of chickpeas and then put them in portions.
Oh, that's smart.
So I don't have to like, cut them with a knife in the freezer and they're like going everywhere.
Like little portions.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's smart.
And just warm them in some warm water and then throw it on a salad. Like so easy. But, so going back to it, I read Fiber Fueled, and being a raw vegan, because I don't eat like, some of the other things that some people do, which is totally fine. I really love raw food. And I was like, I need to start looking at adding more variety into my diet. And I have awesome digestion back then, and I have awesome digestion now, but my gut scores have been increasing. So I get my gut microbiome tested from Ombre Lab, and I download the data and I upload it to Biome Site because it's a little bit more detailed analytics. And my gut score, according to Biome Site, is over 96% out of 100.
Wow.
And that's the highest of anyone that I've ever met who's done the testing and who's using like the analytics. And I'm just like, but it wasn't like that when I started. I mean, obviously we didn't have gut tests when I started in 2014. So I don't know where my gut was at that time compared to now. But from 2020 to now, my gut has increased percentage wise, every 6 months when we test, and we're just like consistent with our stuff. But gut health, I believe, is like the root of so much stuff. And I had a lot of health issues. Like I had tons of digestive issues. I had candida overgrowth for 15 years. I had cystic acne that was like inflamed and painful and everything. I had imbalanced hormones, joint pain, lots of inflammation, leaky gut. Yeah, I was just not having a good time. But after I went raw, I was actually eating more variety of different plant foods than I'd ever eaten my whole life. So when people think it's like, oh, it's so restrictive, I'm like,
Yeah.
actually,
I eat way more now than I used to. Yeah, same.
exactly, yeah. So I don't feel like it's restrictive. I'm like, I have more food freedom now than I ever have. I just choose not to eat the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not that hard. But I changed my gut microbiome without really realizing it, because I was just focused on eating abundantly and making sure I was getting enough and enjoying a lot of variety, playing around with different combinations of food. I wasn't focused on healing.
Right.
I just wanted to eat, as healthy as I could. So I wasn't focused on any of those other things like candida and the gut health or the skin, whatever, because I had dealt with it for almost 2 decades for the most part. And to me, it was a way of life. I was just like
Normal. Yeah.
just normal. So I just kept going with the raw. And over time, I grew my microbiome to the point that my microbiome fought off the yeast all by itself.
Wow.
And my symptoms just, over time, they disappeared. My acne stopped breaking out. My skin cleared up really nice. My joint pain went away. My hormones balanced. My mood improved. My sleep improved. Like everything was like awesome. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is
Like,
pretty
wow,
cool.
this is working.
And I believe, like people say it's the raw food, but it goes so much beyond the food itself. Yeah. It's like, it's a combination of all kinds of things, like the types of raw food that I was eating. I was eating enough. I was working on building my gut subconsciously, I guess. Like I was just like feeding my gut all these different kinds of fibers, and it grew, and I'm where I am today because of that. So yeah, I believe that fixing the gut is one of the most important things we can do, and the best way to do that is to eat a wide variety of fiber.
Yeah, very well said. And I can relate to, I had the main thing that sparked my because I went vegan first for ethical reasons, but the main thing that really made me transition to more of a whole food, plant-based with lots of raw food and fruits and veggies was my acne that I developed in college, just out of the blue, because growing up I ate the standard American diet and just very unhealthy. And I would deal with small issues like migraines and painful periods, and I had acid reflux and just little things like that. But when I developed the acne, I was like, oh wow, what's going on? And it made me really take a step back and kind of try to figure out. And that's when I dove deep into research on gut health and the connection between our skin and our gut and just overall health, and how what we eat really does have such a strong impact on that. And so, yeah, it's just so important to get in that fiber and get in that wide variety, like you said, of just all these different plant foods to feed all the different bacteria in our gut, because it really makes such a difference. Not just in our physical health, but in our mental health too. Our gut is our second brain, and it's all connected.
Yeah, it really is. I know. And I feel like a lot of times people can get really restrictive in the amounts of or types of foods that they're eating. They feel like they can only eat certain things or have as little amount of ingredients as possible, right? But I was actually doing some just putzing around the internet this morning, and I found an article talking about how humans in the past, on average, humans in general, ate over 6,000 different varieties of plants, and today we average 9.
Oh my gosh.
And and somebody had brought this up. They said the Hunza people, the hunter-gatherers, they eat a very simple diet or whatever. That was their claim. So when I was looking at the research, the Hunza actually eat 600 different types of plants in their diet. Nate and I, we eat a lot of variety. People are like, whoa. We average 80 to 85. And we try.
That's amazing. And that's compared to the average person, but still 600. That's, wow.
Yeah. So when you think about it, the modern person living in the city, living day to day, the modern person's gut microbiome is endangered.
Yeah.
And eating too simply, I think, plays a massive role in why. And not only that, we're living, you know, in cities. We don't get outside very often unless you have land and you're gardening and all that kind of stuff. You're more exposed to the bacteria in nature. But a lot of people live in cities. They work in offices. They're in their vehicles all the time.
Yeah,
like,
we're so disconnected from nature, and
yeah.
yeah.
So by increasing the variety of foods that we eat, at least we can start to incorporate more of the natural bacteria that's part of those plants, or like doing fermented foods, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the spring collaboration ebook that is part of the bundle that you guys have to buy because there's less than
You'll
10
never
hours
get it
left.
again.
We're always going to talk about it because it's the last day. In the spring collaboration ebook, I contributed my, it's like a microbiome ferment. It's like a kimchi style. I didn't want to call it kimchi because it's not traditional, right? Yeah. So it's like a microbiome ferment. But it's Napa cabbage, sunchoke, carrot, radishes galore, like different types of radishes, garlic and hot chilies. And I did make it live on one of my lives, but it's in that ebook. And that is a great way of introducing more bacteria and more fibers into your day. Just start with like a little, you know, a little pinch of it on your salad, work up. But yeah, ferments I think are a really important part of gut health as well.
Yeah, that's a good way to get people, you know, into it, because most people don't eat nearly enough fiber or nearly enough fruits and vegetables, so their guts just can't handle it. And that's when you get people saying like, oh, kale, you know, kale is bad for you, and all these greens, and these aren't meant to be eaten, and these, you know, vegetables are bad. And but really it's like, it comes down to your gut health. And like if you don't have the bacteria to be able to digest these things, like of course you're gonna have issues. You try to eat a huge salad if you're going from the standard American diet, you're gonna be like, oh, I can't eat this, and then you're just gonna never try again. Right. So yeah, it is good to just incorporate small amounts and just of a big variety, like you say all the time, like focus more on like multiple different types of plants and just small amounts of each one until you work your way up to being able to handle it better. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I know. That's funny that you mentioned that, because I get told all the time, they're like, you know, like broccoli isn't human food because I can't digest it. And I'm like, but because you can't digest it doesn't mean that it's not human food. Yeah. Because cruciferous vegetables are some of my absolute favorites because, you know, like they provide such a wide array of nutrients that we need to properly detox. Yeah. So like super, super important. And yeah, what works or what is causing issues for one person, we can't blanket statement for everybody. And that's one thing that I've mentioned so many times in so many lives that I kind of cringe when I hear people say like all or never or everything or everyone, you know, like it's like,
yeah, it's not that black and white.
No,
it's just not.
Of course, right? Like if it doesn't work for you, it's usually because your gut is needing a little bit of TLC. It doesn't mean that it's not food for you either. It just means you need to start small with like just like one little floret, cut it up and sprinkle it on your salad and do it more often. Yeah. Right?
And the more often you do it, the more your body will crave it. And like, because you're going to crave what you feed your body. And so, you know, I used to, for just one example that I can think of is like when I was a kid, I was so used to the refined sugar and the highly processed food. And so even something like watermelon, I didn't like watermelon as a kid because it didn't taste like anything to me. And so now I love watermelon. And in the summer here, I eat it, you know, every day, and it tastes so sweet to me. So like your taste buds will adjust, and your body will start craving the more natural whole foods the more you feed them, you know, the more you introduce them into your body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know. I love that you mentioned that too, because there were foods that I mean, like when I was going raw in 2014, like probably say like, you know, the couple weeks before that turn of events in my life, you couldn't bring me to eat a piece of lettuce. Like it was, and I knew better. I knew better. I was working in the natural health industry as a nutritional consultant.
Okay.
And I was just not eating properly, and I was stressed out. And you know, when you're like, it's like that vicious cycle. It's like you're stressed out, you're tired, so you eat junk to get that boost, and then you're guilty, and then you feel like crap, and then you're like
feel more tired,
yourself, and then you eat more crap.
It's a cycle. Yeah.
So I was stuck in that, and there was no way you could get me to eat a salad. I was like, not interested. I ate like I would drink 1 to 2 energy drinks a day. I would do a bag of Doritos for breakfast. I would eat the chicken nugget or like the chicken fried chicken with like a container of ranch for lunch.
Yeah.
And then dinner would be like, you know, my ex would come home and I'd make like maybe a sausage pasta or something. And there would be like the token vegetable because I felt guilty that I didn't have any all day. So it'd be like, you know, 4 sprigs of asparagus
Right.
or like half a cup of broccoli steamed. And I'd be like, I'm doing
Oh, I
good,
got my
you know, but
veggies in, yeah.
so before I went raw was the worst I had ever eaten in my whole life. Like I was just at rock bottom, and just the idea of eating a salad was like, I couldn't do it. I didn't like raspberries. I couldn't stand cucumbers. Lettuce just like was not a thing. Like the only vegetable, like I said, I was eating was like maybe some steamed asparagus
Yeah.
or whatever. But after time, now I love raspberries in smoothies. Now I love cucumbers in
Yeah,
my
you
salad.
crave these things now.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it changes so good.
Yeah, it's complete 180. And like, yeah, I was the same way with, you know, I was so picky as a kid and into like high school and college and stuff. And my diet was mainly like processed foods and just sugar and all that. And like, so I eat so many more foods now than there's so many things I eat now that I didn't even know existed. And like, I would never even have tried because I was so picky. And like, so yeah, you just have to, you know, don't be too hard on yourself. And it's not going to happen overnight for most people. Like, it does take, if you're years and years of used to eating a certain way, like it does take time for your body to adjust. And so it is good to just start small and just make those small adjustments here and there and add in, you know, a little bit of broccoli and sprinkle it on your salad and get a really good dressing. That's like a key to, you know, a lot of people don't like salads, so you got to have a good dressing on it to make it, you know, make it easier to eat if you're not used to eating a lot of veggies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that you said that about going slow and taking your time, because so many people want to jump right in and they have to be perfect,
like all or nothing,
right? Like
nothing.
all or nothing.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, any great thing that we accomplish takes time. Like, for example, you can't just pick up a guitar and go play in an orchestra
you don't know
or whatever, or play. Yeah, you can't just go to a foreign country and speak fluently the language, right? Like,
it would be nice, but yeah.
It would be nice, right? But just like learning a guitar, learning the piano, learning a new language, learning a skill, you know, learning anything and changing our habits takes time. So like going over to a high raw or all raw or, you know, even just vegan, like plant-based, you know, people need to like, you don't have to worry about being perfect on day one. Like there's just not a thing, right? But for some reason, people feel like they need to be perfect with their diet on day one when, you know, like we look at other stuff. It's like, we don't expect people to be perfect piano players.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
a good point. That's a good comparison. Because, it's really, you can't be too hard on yourself, too. Because then, you know, if you get in the mindset of, like, if you try to go plant-based and you know, you go, like, a week or so and then you start eating bad again or something, like, you don't want to get down on yourself and think, oh, I'm never going to try that again or it was too difficult. Because your mind is very powerful, too. So what you tell your mind, it's going to, you know. So it's not easy to make changes, especially later in life. And so that's why it's just so important to, just not be so hard on yourself and just know why you're doing it too and why you want to nourish your body and why I think you mentioned earlier, like, you're like, I'm choosing to have this. Because a lot of people think when they change their diet, they're like, oh, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have this. And it feels so restrictive and so negative. When really it should be like, oh, I'm choosing not to have that because I want to nourish my body, because I love myself and I want to feed my body and just feel my best. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that you said that. I know changing the word is so powerful, from can't to choose, right? Like, because when you say, I can't have pizza, I can't have this, I can't have that, I can't have potato chips, I can't, right? It puts the control in the food, right? Because you can't. So it's like, I can't, right? The food is like there. But when you say, I choose, you
have
are
the power.
Yeah. So it's like, take back your power. You have the choice. People are like, I can't stop eating it. I'm like, you can. Right? Like,
you're very powerful.
There's a book that I highly recommend. It's called Myths of Choice by Claire Mann. And Claire Mann, she wrote Vistopia, which is a term she coined about the anguish that a vegan feels in a non-vegan world.
Okay.
So she wrote Vistopia, but she also wrote Myths of Choice. And it was pretty hard to find that book. Like I had to really kind of dig and try to find a copy of that book. But Myths of Choice, she talks about how people will say like, well, I can't quit my job and just go do whatever. And she's like, well, but that in itself is a choice, right? Because you technically you could quit your job, but you don't want to because, you know, all the other factors.
Yeah, all the reasons.
Yeah, all the reasons. And we have reasons for choosing the things. So when people say they can't, you know, go plant-based, or they can't stop eating potato chips, or they can't do this, they're right, because that's a choice.
Yeah, that's what they're telling themselves, and so they're going to believe it regardless. And like the other way, if you tell yourself, I can do this, and I will do this, like, it's the same thing. Yeah.
You're more likely to do it. I know, yeah. It's so fascinating, the mind. And I wanted to also say, we get better at what we repeat, regardless if that's a good habit or a not ideal one, right? Right? We get good at what we repeat. We're good at coming home from work and throwing a pizza or getting takeout and sitting and watching Netflix because we do it often.
Yeah.
So we get good at it.
Yeah.
We get good at it.
Yeah, whether it's a good or a bad thing. That's so true. And that's why it's hard, like, to, you know, start having these healthier habits and stuff. It just start with the small changes, and it starts in the mind first, like the mindset shift of telling yourself like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, instead of watching Netflix for 3 hours, I'm gonna go outside and go on a hike or something like that. Like, and just, you know, small changes here and there. It's like, just diet's so important, but there's so many other aspects that go into, you know, a healthy mind and body and a healthy gut and stuff. And like another big one with gut health is like stress. And I know, you know, stress is huge in our society. We're under constant stress for the most part. And so it's just so important. There's so many, you know, aspects of, you know, a healthy gut and healthy life. And that's why, again, this bundle is so valuable if you are wanting to make changes towards a healthier lifestyle, because you don't have to be vegan to benefit from this at all. Like, don't feel like just because it's called the Vegan Health Bundle, you have to be vegan, because you don't. There's something in there for everyone to benefit from, for sure.
Yeah. And one thing that I really like about this bundle is that it's not just recipe focused. Like, some people will be like, oh, well, you know, like people who are following me who want raw recipes, they're like, well, I won't use the cooked stuff. But there's a lot of raw stuff in this bundle. And even if you just got it for the raw stuff, you're still saving a huge amount of money, right? But not just that, it's that there's like other things in the bundle that have nothing to do with the food that can help with your lifestyle. For example, one of the things that I am super excited to look at, and I wrote an email to talk about kind of like my 5 key takeaways of being in the bundle. And one of my key takeaways is to open and enjoy everything, even if you don't think you're going to use it. Because when I was scrolling through the bundle, Drina Burton has her fascia flow like course in there or whatever, and I skipped over it quite a few times because I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'll look at it later, or, you know, like I might not need it or whatever, like, you know, just the things that you think. I did a live with Drina, and we did one exercise on the live. I'm sold. I'm like, how come I would have passed that over? Like, when there's like so much gold in just that one download. That's it. Like, you get 150 downloads, interviews and yoga, and so it goes way beyond the recipe.
Yeah, and there's books on fitness and yoga and mindset. There's a good book in there by Dr. Simran on like mindset and how to adjust your mindset to like an abundance mindset, and tell yourself, it's kind of like a workbook, which I really like because it gets people to really sit down and think. Rather than just reading through and being like, oh, okay, I know I need to do that. It gives you like step by step, like, oh, let me fill this out and actually think about it and how it could apply to my life. So yeah, there's just so much in here, and I'm just, you know, so, you know, honored to be a part of it, and it's been great just connecting with everyone. And yeah,
it has been. I know. Thank you for joining.
Yeah.
It's awesome to have so many amazing people. I saw in the chat someone was like, I just got it for wraps. I know lots of people are getting it for that. But the cool thing is that you get everything else.
Yeah.
right? So much good stuff. And I'm really looking forward to, I actually started reading Mike the Vegan's Level 5
I
Vegan book.
saw that. I'm gonna read
Oh
that.
my gosh. Like his humor is
Yeah.
totally in the book. It's hilarious. I'm having such a great time reading it. It was probably one of my most like anticipated things that I was super excited about this bundle for. So like not only is there recipes, but there's stuff like his book. And his book is really valuable too, because as he mentions, like there's so much stuff out there for how to go vegan, right? Like, you know, how to transition over and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
there's not a lot for how to stay vegan, because there's a lot of people who will, you know, they'll go ex-vegan. He's got a whole chapter in there about like what we can learn from ex-vegans, myths and struggles, social challenges. So he's got a lot of information in there that has nothing to do with, you know, recipes and stuff. So it's a nice mix of everything.
Yeah, I love that because it is so common for people to go, you know, vegan or plant-based for, you know, even a few years or something, and then they always, you know, for some reason or other, turn back to, and they think they need to turn back to eating animals and all that. When, yeah, so that's awesome. That's in there as well to help people.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I like that you mentioned about the stress management, because on the topic of eating a wide variety for gut health, it's like not only is what we eat, because people will be like, well, I eat so perfectly, right? But they still have gut issues. And it's like we kind of have to go beyond just the diet.
Yeah.
And we have to work on what you said, stress management, sleep. Sleep can affect our microbiome. The amount of exercise that we're not doing
Yeah.
can affect our microbiome. You know, all that kind of stuff can affect it too. So it also goes beyond the diet.
Yeah. Yeah. Stress stress, sleep, getting out in nature, exercise. It's all so important. So it's not just the diet. So like you said, someone can be eating like very, you know, perfect in their eyes and think, oh, what's going on? I'm still having issues. But you gotta look at those other aspects of your life too and your lifestyle, because it's all tied together, and it all, you know, works as a holistic whole.
So
So
incredible.
yeah.
I like to joke around with my friends. I'm like, having a body is a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because it really is. I wanna learn a little bit more about your contribution to the bundle.
Yeah. So my book's called Simply Sweet. And it's basically, there's like about 50 or so recipes in there that are, it's all, you know, more treats and dessert based book, but there are some like smoothie bowls and smoothies and stuff in there too. And basically everything in there it's all refined sugar free, obviously plant-based vegan. It's also gluten free. And then I do have a lot of raw recipes in there too, and some no bake stuff in there. I really love making raw desserts. They're a lot of fun to make. And yeah, so I basically, because I grew up eating the standard American diet and like tons of refined sugar, I've always kind of had a sweet tooth. And so as I was, you know, making changes in my diet and playing around in the kitchen and kind of getting creative with things, I wanted to make, you know, healthier versions of treats and stuff that I used to enjoy that traditionally aren't as healthy. And so, yeah, most of the recipes in there are sweetened with dates or other fruit. There's some sweetened with a little pure maple syrup or like raw coconut sugar. But yeah, I try to keep things very simple and just show people that, you know, you don't have to restrict yourself. You don't have to, you know, eating healthy doesn't mean being restrictive or eating bland food. Like you can still enjoy really decadent desserts and just food in general, just good food in general. But focus on the desserts for that book. Like, and there's a lot of good ones in there for like kids too. If you're a parent who's trying to get your kids off of refined sugars and trying to get them to eat a little healthier, there's a lot of good like bliss balls and just no bake treats that you can get them to help too, like in the kitchen, which is good because I think that's really important to like get kids to start at a young age and show them like you can eat healthy and it can be fun, and get them involved in the kitchen and get them to like tell them why they'd want to be eating these things and why they'd want to make this healthier choice, and just start from a young age, because I wish that would have been my case as a kid. And it's unfortunate that, you know, so many kids grow up eating unhealthy, and it catches up to them later in life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I grew up like that too. My mom was like really healthy, but us kids and my dad, we just ate whatever. so it's interesting, like my childhood, like I saw my mom eating really healthy, but the thing is with my mom, she was eating like, I from what I remember, she was eating like a lot of animal products for protein or whatever.
Right.
But she would eat like mostly all organic, and just like she wouldn't really dive into like the junk food that my siblings and my dad would eat, like pizza, and she'd just be over there eating her salad. But that really made an impact on me. Even though I wasn't eating the same way she was, I was watching her. And I think that even just watching your parents choosing those things can have a huge impact when you're older, because you remember, you're like, oh yeah, like even though I was eating Skittles, mom was, whatever. So yeah, she did end up getting colon cancer, but she's okay now. She's like plant-based and stuff. So it's hard when you have kids, because we're exposed to so much beyond the home, right? Like you can keep them super sheltered and try to control, like when they're younger, it's so easy to provide them the food, but when they start going out and in school,
birthday parties and sporting events and all kinds of stuff. I was I did a live with Margot the other day, and we talked about that and how you can't really avoid it in our society. Like some of these, you can control what they eat at home, of course, but like when they go out to sporting events and birthday parties and do all that school activities and stuff, they're gonna have most likely they're gonna have the store-bought processed cupcakes and that kind of thing, and it's kind of unavoidable. But it's always, you can still always make like a healthy homemade version at home and send that with them and have it as an option at least, and like be able to at least control what they have it in the house, which I think is so big.
Mm-hmm. I know, so challenging. I mean, even as adults, it's like, oh my god.
In the world we live in, they make it very difficult with all the fast food and the processed stuff on every corner. They make it very hard for people to eat healthy, that's for sure.
I know, and we live in Las Vegas, and we live like just off Fremont Street, so we're kind of like downtown, and there's like it's partying almost every single night, lots of people around. It's really touristy here, and all of the raw vegan places that we used to love have all closed. And in Oregon as well, like 3 of our favorite places have closed in Oregon.
I'm actually up in Oregon too, and there was one Pixie Retreat. In I was so sad when they closed. They were my favorite place.
The BLT.
Yes. Oh my god, that place was so good.
Oh,
I know.
Man, yeah. And then what's it called? NW Raw in Ashland, because we lived in Ashland for 2 years.
Okay.
And they had like, literally you could walk there from our house in like 5 minutes. And it was like this raw restaurant or whatever. My stepson worked there for a while, but they closed just because they just couldn't, there was just not enough people supporting. And it's really sad because like in Las Vegas, we have 68% of the restaurants in Las Vegas are fast food. And that's the highest percentage of fast food in any city in the United States. So it's like, people don't come here to eat healthy, obviously. But it's like, it's interesting when people are like, why are you in Vegas? And I'm like, to show you that you can go wrong in Vegas. Exactly. but like, produce is cheap here for the most part. Like, I did my first 5 years raw in Canada because I'm Canadian, and I'm actually gonna be a citizen soon in April.
I saw you posting about that. That's so exciting.
Yeah, I'm so excited. But the first 5 years in Canada were raw, and it's like so expensive in Canada.
I bet, yeah.
Here, I'm just like in heaven. It's like in the summer, we have this one store, and this is like a bonus tip for anyone. Go to other stores that you don't normally go to, or like ethnic stores, or like other stores that you might, maybe be intimidated to go in or what have you. But there's like a Mexican market chain here called La Bonita. And we went in there one time because a friend of ours, John Kohler, he's like, go to La Bonita. They have sometimes like blueberries for $1, organic. And I'm like, what? So we go, right? And we never probably would have ever gone in there had we not been told, or we weren't adventurous to go check it out. But in the summer, every year, we can get 6 Ataulful mangoes for $1.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I'm like, but it's the only place in the city that you can get it at that price.
Wow. Yeah,
And
you
we
stock
never
it up
done.
on those tomatoes.
I know. I'm like,
That's
this is
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
And there's an Asian market near my where I live, and I've gone there a couple times and be able to get some good deals on like dragon fruit and like young Thai coconuts and that kind of thing. I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
Exactly, and the Asian
Yeah.
markets have some different greens as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if speaking of
Yeah.
variety, right? Like, go to the Asian markets because there's like different, like a whole bunch of different types of bok choys, and I mean, like in our Asian market, we like that's the one of the only places where we can get sunchokes
Mm-hmm.
fresh, and they have tons of them. And they have red spinach, like the amaranth
Oh,
spinach
okay.
leaves, and they
Yeah.
have like, that's where we get our Napa cabbage or Korean radish, and there's so many
Yeah.
cool different varieties there. So
There's
it's
so
like,
many types of mushrooms too.
oh,
I've noticed like so many different varieties of mushrooms.
yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So it on the topic that we're talking about, like, go venture out to these
Yeah.
places and look for new variety.
Yeah, that's a good tip because I feel like most people get caught in just buying the same staple foods every week and the same, maybe even if they have veggies, maybe they do the same 2 or 3 veggies every week, and like they just get caught in that and get, with what they're used to. But it's so important to adventure out and just try new foods, and if you don't like something at first, don't give up. Like, just find a different way to incorporate it into a meal, and then eventually like your body will start to crave these things. Yeah.
Exactly. I like that you said find different ways too, because the way you chop something can totally make or break
texture, it makes a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I am not a fan of zucchini like sticks. Oh, like they're like too spongy. I don't know. I don't like them.
Yeah.
I'm okay with zucchini noodles, but if you spiralize the zucchini with an angel hair and they're like super thin, they're so good. So weird.
Yeah, the texture makes a big difference. That's a good point, because there are so many ways to cut and chop veggies and spiralize things, and
exactly. I know, like when I'm making my raw soups, I prefer to have like, it's so funny how it is, like we have our little like preferences. Like, I really like the really skinny carrots cut into rounds, so they're like little tiny rounds, as opposed to like a fatter carrot cut into cubes, which is so weird.
Yeah, no, I like my carrots like thinner, smaller pieces too.
It's so funny.
But yeah, just people like play around with it and just find what works for you and what you enjoy, and just try as much as you can to get that variety in, because it's so important. We need that fiber and those different, to feed the different gut microbes in our gut, and it really does make such a difference when you have this diversity in your gut microbiome. It makes such a difference in your energy levels, in your mood, in your physical health, just everything. Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, this was so much fun. I hope people get the bundle.
Yes.
We're coming up on not less than 9 hours.
Yeah,
soon.
you're running out of time. So you can
running out of time.
Link in either one of our bios. Again, it's over $8,000 value for $49. So you definitely don't want to miss out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. Well, it was so fun talking to you. Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, this was so much fun. Yeah. I'm like smiling so big. I just had such a great time with you.
Awesome. We'll have to talk again soon.
We will, definitely. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Get the bundle.